are. Yeah.
Let me.
Azar, would you mind coming to making a breakout room real quick? I need to talk to you about something.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit.
Give me a second.
Because I don't want to interrupt this creative iOS process that we just made up for Gabby.
Oh yeah.
This is gonna be so.
Here,
Gabby, are you excited?
Yes, I am stoked. Ooh, meeting app.
still okay. I'll join you in a meeting soon. Room soon.
I don't join that, right, Azar?
No. That's just Clement wants to talk about something.
Okay, we're recording. Okay. Okay, so it's gone. Cool. Yeah, we'll edit this out. So, hi everyone. Thanks for coming to the iOS Dev Community Meeting. We're just gonna get started. And so on the screen we have the simulator and Xcode. And so Gabby, I want to ask you really quick. Where are you at with like Swift right now, and what are you currently working on?
With Swift.
Mm-hmm.
I would say since I haven't touched it, I'm at the beginning again. Slowly.
Let's go ahead and do this. There we go. I could probably do it with the simulator. Let's see. If it takes too long, then we'll go back. But so generally what I want to show is kind of like the base setup.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this, right? Awesome. So this is embedded, like this, there's a navigation view in here, but you don't see it. So what you do is should show up there. And if it didn't show up, it'll probably show up here. Yeah. One of those things where it's like either inside the navigation view or outside of it. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So that's where we're at. And just to kind of show you how you can like modular or like, yeah, make things modular and composable, like very little small views. So we have like the body, right? The body is what you always have to provide. It's a property. So we could just do this, right? We can do this, paste it here. And then it's called the home view. So we do home view. Let's see what happens there. Just to make sure it works. Let's see. Yeah, so it works there, right? So you see, like, if you just if you ignore this, right? All you see is this, right? So you have the view, navigation view, which is this bar, and then we have that. So yeah, now if you wanted to, do you know how to like stack things up vertically? Oh, we have Heido. Hi, Heido.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
So sorry to pick on you. So we're going through SwiftUI. Have you worked with SwiftUI yet?
No, I have never worked with SwiftUI actually. I played around with
Okay.
Xcode before, but just drag and dropped the tutorial.
Oh, gotcha. So you have some storyboard experience?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so if you haven't looked at SwiftUI, it's really cool, really easy. So we're like just talking about some basics. So
Okay.
this is like typically like the UI navigation controller and a typical V controller. But as you can see, there's no like constraints, no storyboards, things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of came at a good time. So we have this. And so let's say, yeah, so let's say you just wanted to have a tap button, right? And then like let's say we wanted to have a let's see what happens. So I'm just trying to add a button vertically. And nothing seems to be happening because you typically have to embed this in a VStack and then you get it, right? Because, and this is just one of those things where, you know, once you kind of just see it, then you just kind of adopt it. So whenever you want to lay things vertically, right, you do VStack, or if you want to do it horizontally, you do HStack, right? So you got that. So let's say you want to, yeah, just tap it, right? So we can go here and then just tap. And let's see if it actually does work. Action. Let's see this. And then okay, that's right. Syntax always. I'm fairly, that should be how you do it. Button, title, action. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Where are we at? Okay. I don't know why. So that's kind of odd. So we have that. Let's just see here. Okay, so it does work. Maybe it doesn't work for the preview, which would be interesting. Okay, so we have this. And so this is how you generate like an action. So typically in UIKit, you would have to add your own observer, which is an action for like a specific gesture, but you don't have to worry about that. So it's just nice to be able to do that. Let me see if it works now. No, and it doesn't. Okay, so that's good to know that you don't get the button taps here. Okay, so all right, so let's say we wanted to, have you worked, or has anyone worked with like presenting a sheet based on some user input or interaction? And the sheet is like kind of like a popover view or something like that. Has anyone done something like that?
Not with
Anything else?
one.
What was that? Gabby?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay. And then who else spoke? Heido, I think.
Yeah, I haven't as well.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So in SwiftUI, everything is like your state And state is like, is a button on or off, or should we be showing something or not, right? So that's what you refer to when you say state. So state is managed in SwiftUI by right, properties. So we have should show sheet. So we have a variable, and it's just, it's a Boolean, right? Should we show something? Pretty simple. And this is just a property wrapper to indicate to the framework that, hey, like whenever this property changes, just update the UI to reflect it. And we're going to see what happens when you have it and when you don't. So what we want to do when we tap and tap to show sheet, right? And then we have the button, right? And then and it's pretty redundant, right? Just tap a button to show sheet. Might as well just put that on the button. But just kind of for demonstration purposes, we'll leave it like this. And then what we want to do is we want to toggle or we want to say that we want to show the sheet, right? So we do this, right? And then let's just see what happens, right? We tap it and nothing really happens because we're not doing anything so far. So what we do is sheet, right? And then sheet, and then it takes it has different initializers or overloads, but what you want to do is presented. This presented is kind of the right, like it's answering the question, should we present it at this time, right? And so we do that. We pass in just straight up the property, right? And then it has a $sign because, well, let's look into it. So it's a binding, and like a binding is so let's just remove it, right? And so right now it's just a regular variable, but it's saying that there's no $sign, right? Like there's no property with the $sign, right? So then it says so it's a bool, but it's expecting a binding of a bool. And a binding, it's just wow, I don't even know if I can explain it properly, but basically a binding is, as I mentioned before, it's kind of the way for the engine to highlight like, hey, this is something that's going to be state driven, and once the state changes of this, the UI should reflect somehow. So then obviously going back to that, we don't want just a property, because a Boolean is just a value type, right? That's it. So we want a little bit more than that. So we pass in the binding, and then we'll do a text sheet presented, and then we'll do, Gab, you pick a color.
Purple.
Okay, let's see what happens. All right. I don't know if it's gonna work. Okay, but it does. But you notice how there's no navigation view, right? It kind of looks weird. You don't really know what's what. But at the very least it works. So what do we need here? Or if we want a title, how can we approach this? Like, what do we have? Like, what's here that is not here?
Oh, navigation view.
Yeah. So you might know in UIKit that if you're like a detail view, so like if you're being presented on a navigation view or a navigation controller, like if you're pushing a V controller onto that stack, you inherit, like that detail view inherits the navigation bar, right? Because you get to reference it since that's the proper context. But you don't get that here because you're in a sheet. So a sheet is kind of a different context. And if you notice, it's not part of the stack, the nav stack. It doesn't give you that back button access, right? It's literally just kind of a context switch on top of the navigation view. or the navigation stack, if you will. So it's still like the TLDR, you still need your own navigation view. So Gabby, how do we do that? Looking at this example, right? What do you, how should we modify sheet to properly do what we wanted, like to show a title?
Would you put dot navigation title and then just put a title?
It doesn't work because, so actually let's make sure. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't work because you mentioned that it's not part of that stack. So what we would do is we'll hit this in the navigation view. And then it might be this, or, okay. So then we have to put it here. Cool, there we go. So, so yeah, so to reiterate, this whole context is something different. And when you tap it, right, you have to present something else. And so that's what this is, right? It's kind of a different, it's like two different stacks, I guess, if you will. So just keep in mind.
It kind of reminds me of like Apple Music, where I don't know if it's the same thing. Does Apple Music use like the sheets whenever like you play a song? Is that necessarily?
I think so. Yeah. And you know how like on some, like Spotify has it where you can just swipe down on the music view and just go back to your playlist. That, yeah, those are all sheets. And actually a login flow oftentimes is a sheet. And so I'm working on something like that. And so basically you could think of it like, let's say you're not logged in, right? So we have logged in, right? And then we go here. So if you're not logged in, right? So if you're not logged in, all right, please log in. And then, you know, you can have a text field. Well, yeah, you get the point. So then this is what you would do, right? And then, so you can have like, let's say you can persist a variable like logged in, true or false, right? When you log in, you can just save a Boolean true, right? And then fetch that every time from like user default or something. And then at that point, right, you're always going to be getting the variable whether you're logged in or not. And so if you're not logged in, then you show this, right? So, or logged in false. So we want to put should log in, right? Because you should log in, right? We want this to be true. So we have this, and then we tap, yeah. So well, now this is going to be kind of different, but we'll just change it like this because there's not going to be the context is going to be the beginning. It's just going to show the sheet exactly, right? I'm going to do it again because I didn't tap it. So we go, right? Yeah. And so this is what you would do. And then to take it a step further, let's do this. Let's see. Oh, full screen cover. Okay. So we go here. And then instead of doing sheet, we do full screen. Right, so full screen cover. And then you won't even know that you're in the sheet. Has no. Hold on. Okay, so we're here. Let's see, would that work here? Okay, yeah. So you see how you don't notice that you're in a full, you're in a, okay, and that's quick aside. SwiftUI, like, you notice how there was no issue, there was no, like, if I move this, so if I move this curly brace here, meaning this would be out, okay, it still works, okay. Okay, that's, yep, SwiftUI. That makes more sense. We don't want it inside the VStack. So yeah, you notice how, and I can't even pull this down. But, right, so now we have the full screen modal, right? The full screen sheet. We don't really know that we're in the sheet, right? Which is a perfect long onboarding situation, because again, what happens if you are like, if should log in, you're gonna set it to false. And then boom, this is like the home screen, right? Let's just, boom. So you got the home screen, right? So going back to the default state, it's going to show you the sheet. And so now we have sheet presented. And so let's go ahead, instead of just sheet presenting, let's just do button, tap to dismiss. And in the action, let's just do should log in. Let's see if toggle works. So toggle, oh no. Oops. Let's see if toggle works. So we have this, right? And yes, it does, but not really. So I'll explain why really quick. So okay. So right now we have tap to dismiss, right? And then you dismiss. So then it's false. And so then nothing happens, right? So tap to show sheet. We need to set it to true. Go untap. We go here. There we go. And so it's all like, this is a huge thing of naming, right? Like naming can be very hard, and like Boolean, Booleans can be tricky with like the state, right? You notice how we have like different layers to state. So yeah, but this is a very solid, if very bare bones example of how to like use state. And if you have a login flow, then we go off of that. And so, yeah, any questions so far? No? Okay. So now, so Gabby, you mentioned you're doing an onboarding, like a login view. Have you already built like the text fields and all that stuff in UIKit?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So what do you all, yeah, what would y'all like to try? Maybe like Heido, is there anything that you're interested in kind of trying out? Maybe changing a color of something, changing like text size, or like whatever that interests you?
I was thinking about positioning things in like on different sides of the screen. So like to the left or to the right. How would you go to do that?
Awesome. So a few ways. So let's say, okay, we have tap to show sheet, tap, but then let's say, so as far as like just moving things around, you're not working with specific constraints. So you do spacer, and then that's just gonna push everything up to the top, right? Because spacer, kind of, you think of it like everything above here is, it's just pushed wherever, like wherever it is, it kind of just pushes everything beyond it. So this is gonna push things to the very top and the very bottom, I think. Yeah, you see that? The spacer's in the middle. And then obviously if you put the spacer up top, it's gonna be, everything is gonna be pushed to the bottom. So that's how you kind of manipulate that. But let's say we wanted a, we have this text, but let's say we want to have text like left and right, right? So we have an H stack. And then you have that, right? So we have that, and then we can just do like, just for fun. So if you notice, we have a horizontal stack within a vertical stack. So you can mix and match the hierarchies as you wish and nest it as you see fit. But let's say you wanted to make it aligned all the way to the left. I don't know if we could do that. I know that there is a specific way. So we go, center. Yeah, so there's no like left alignment. So there's that. I don't know specifically, like I know that there's a way, but I wonder if we could do this. I doubt it. Oh, wow. Okay. So, well, I just made a discovery. And then we have 8. We want to do 8 spacing, right, from the left. Interesting. That didn't work. But you know what will work? I know for sure. We gotta do dot padding. Left 8. Oh, it's leading. And then now this is guaranteed to work. So that's cool. Good question. I learned something today. So yeah, that's how you do that. And so I personally, like, you notice how we're not working with like, hey, I want to align this to the leading anchor, top anchor. We're literally dealing in a declarative way where it's like we're talking in hierarchies and relationships, but not explicit relationships. They're very like relative, right? So I know, like, just reading it, right? And this is why, when people talk about SwiftUI being like a designer toolkit as well, and kind of like designer friendly, is because and you can make this smaller because it's kind of like, it's already like 20 lines. At its core, you have a vertical stack, which the whole thing is the vertical stack, right? So you could think of this as like a container view, like a super view, right? And then you have text, and it has some padding, which you don't even need the padding. That's just from the hello world. So we have the padding, and then we have the button, which does something, right? Like you give it the title, and then you just want to do something when the button's tapped, right? So you can pass in a code block to do exactly that. We want to push it all the way to the top, so we use spacer. We want to, after the spacer, then we want to have a horizontal stack that is aligned by the let's say center, and then it has the first label, which has padding leading to the left. And actually, so I thought of this, but probably the better way to think about it is we want to pad the whole H stack, right? So if we did this exact same thing, then it would be the same exact behavior, but probably in a cleaner way, right? Because I'm picking the first element in the H stack, whereas this kind of, you just want to constrain the H stack. And it doesn't matter because you're going to get the same thing. It's really like a refactor, but I think whenever you can make things more easy to understand, you're probably on the right track. So I feel like the padding here is more indicative of the intention. So we'll just go with that. And so then you have the padding, right? And then we have the spacer, which we remove the spacer, see what happens. Oh, then it's really, really down there. So yeah, so that's that. Good question. Were there any other examples of like laying out that you can think of?
I think for now it was good. I also learned
Awesome.
a
Let me
lot.
see. Cool. Gabby, anything come up that you want to see from what we've done so far?
I was gonna ask, like, I guess it would be sort of this. I'm not sure, but when, let's say, like, I know with UIKit you would use storyboards and you would use segues to, let's say you click on a button, you want to go to a different U controller. How would that work on here? Even though you kind of just did it with the sheet itself. But let's say you're going from like back and forth to a different page.
Amazing question. Amazing question, and you'll be happy to find that the solution is very easy. So okay, so we basically want to push to the navigation stack, correct?
Mhm.
Cool. So let's go ahead and do that. And just real quick, just to kind of show you the power of SwiftUI. So you notice, so I'm scrolling, I'm like tapping and trying to scroll up and down, right? And it doesn't let me. But if you do a scroll view, and then you can, right? And it looks different, probably because of the way scroll views work. And this is one of those things where maybe it could be annoying, but yeah, and you see how we have spacer here. So yeah, that's very interesting, but that's one thing you can do. So going back to this, so I'm gonna make it more traditional, more like typical example. So we'll do like list view, right? So we do, all right, let's see if this works. Okay, nope. So we'll do, so we'll do that and then list. Okay, no errors. So, okay. Okay. Sorry, just SwiftUI stuff. See if that works. It does. Okay. We don't need to get into it, but just because this is like a hash map, it needs an identifier. And this is like a key value KVO, I think. Key value something. I don't know, but yeah, essentially it's just like it needs a reference. And so I'm using self because it's like 0, 1, 2. So then it's hashed accordingly. But ignore that. We're going to do list view here. Let's see what happens. Cool. So let's make it a little bit more realistic. We go here. Okay. And then oops. That kind of looks, I'm not exactly sure why it's so off the top, but oh, oh, so it already has a navigation view. So that's what it would look like if you were curious, if you had 2 navigation views. So yeah, now it looks more normal, but it doesn't do anything, right? You tap it, nothing happens. So what we want to do is we want to embed this navigation link. The navigation link looks for, we do destination and label. That sounds good. Destination, we want to do I'll just do empty view. And then the text label, we'll just do this. We'll just replace it. Okay, so you ready, Gabby?
Yes.
So what we are gonna do, let me zoom in a little bit. Does it not work to zoom in? Okay, it doesn't. So then boom, we have that. In literally 1 line. Well, let's see. Yeah, that looks ugly. You see, that's the kind of the thing about SwiftUI. Some of these things just look weird. That looks kind of crazy. But if you do it kind of like slow, right, destination, you just self-explanatory, and then the label, boom. So, oh, and then there's a thing called empty view, which is just an empty view. So it's like a nice little placeholder. You know, I took a moment to think of like, oh, what to show? Like, we don't need to show anything. We could just show an empty view. So yeah, that's that. Did that make sense? Would you like to see like do you have any questions about that?
No, actually that was a lot easier than I expected.
Yeah, that's why I tell people to do SwiftUI, because it really is so cake. And it's crazy to think that there's other languages that doing this, it's just like I guess it's a sign of, I think a good gauge of the framework is like how easy or like how complicated is it to do very simple tasks, right? Because you saw that, and full disclosure, I have not worked this stuff with this stuff in a couple of weeks at least. So you know, there's not much to remember, right? You kind of just like, once you learn how SwiftUI works and its quirks, then you can just kind of be pretty productive. And as you saw, like when we Googled stuff, so that button issue it was a non-issue. It was kind of, you don't get to see the logs when you tap this, the simulator, but yeah, you know, you saw that the examples were abundant and easy. So yeah, I think this is a great tool. And with that said, I'm about ready to end it, but we can, you know, we can take a few questions if anybody has any further questions.
Hey Gio, sometime soon, can you show me what authentication looks like in iOS?
Yes, just to kind of quickly answer it. So authentication, obviously with Firebase, is the easiest way to go. I've done it before, and I'd highly recommend it, especially like if you're doing something with Solution Challenge and you want to spend this little time on it. Another thing you can do is with authentication, you have your keychain. So if you have an iPhone, you'll know that iCloud stores your passwords. So when storing your passwords, like what it actually does is you as a programmer can go ahead and be like, okay, so, you know, we've confirmed their password and they're signing up for the email. So, you know, when the user taps log in, or like when we successfully onboard a user with whatever backend it is, then you can save the person's credentials in their keychain. And then you can kind of save their state, whether it's a user state or whatever, and just kind of log them in. Like for example, in Firebase, it's like a login with email, right, and password. So like you literally retrieve their email and password on startup, and then it's like logging you in, and then boom, you're good to go. So yeah, that's one way. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do next time, but if you all would like to see some stuff in Firebase, we could go ahead and do that for next time. Yeah, good question. Anything else?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, thank you for coming. If there's no other questions, then yeah, we could end it. Thank you so much for attending. Last time was a lot more like complex and long. So I figured for this time around, just kind of keep it shorter and more direct and focused. But I think even though we spent less time, we went over quite a bit. I think like state management and like navigating to the app, like the various views of the app, that's very critical. So yeah, I think we spent this time well, and I hope you got some value out of it. So with that said, yeah, we're gonna break now. So thank you so much for everyone for attending. Thanks for your time. And yeah, next week will be the Flutter workshop or meeting with Aldo. So look out for that. I believe there will be some code labs that'll be discussed at the very least. So, and then yeah, basically 2 weeks from now will be the following iOS meeting. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much. And yeah, till next time. Have a good one.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is awesome.
Yeah, take it easy. Huzzah.